Bullshit.
It's the No BS Marketing Show. I'm Dave Mastovich, CEO and founder of Massolutions, the world's only no bullshit marketing agency. How intentional are you about your company's storytelling? Why do I ask that question? Because I've found that many leaders are leaving a bunch of storytelling opportunities on the table because of a lack of intentionality around telling their story to each of their key target audiences. What it means is that there are storytelling opportunities through storytelling channels that you don't think you can use to reach, connect, and engage with current customers, prospective customers, employees, and others. That's the first point that I find. People don't realize all of these opportunities exist where they could tell stories. The second is that they aren't intentional about building an inventory of stories about their company, building an inventory of company success stories. Testimonials from clients, written or on video, are fantastic. But you also need to have those stories and an inventory of them about your successes that you tell again and again. You might tell those stories during your recruitment to potential employees. You might tell those stories to existing employees so that they have a sense of pride and can see the progress and the impact that they and their teammates are having. You would want to tell those stories to prospective customers and existing customers. It's about being intentional with your client's success stories. And you have to build the client success stories with that intentionality and map out using a flow, a system. We use the Your No BS Story Builder process to help our clients tell their success stories. This process, this flow, enables you to tell the story in a genuine, humble, yet impactful way. It starts by having a clear goal of what that story is going to achieve. Why are you telling this client success story? The second is to have a target audience for that goal and for that story. And sometimes the same story can be used in different ways for different target audiences. But when you go to build that company success story, the No BS Story Builder gives you specific ways, once you've mapped out the goal and the target, to pull items into that story and to craft it. You want to talk about the barriers overcome, the struggle that happened for either you or that client or both when you're telling that customer success story. Then you want to talk about who helped and how. Why? Because we all can relate to being part of a team. We all can relate to barriers that we've overcome and struggles that we've had. You're now able to not appear like you're talking about yourself. You're talking about your team and specific people on it. You're talking about the client being vulnerable and having trust in you. You're talking about how your clients' clients responded. So it's the barriers overcome, the struggles overcome, who helped and how. Then focus on the lessons learned by both you and the client or company or customer that you helped. And you close it all out by making a phrase that summarizes the essence of that customer success so that it's memorable and people can quickly relate to that anecdote or analogy. This is all done with intentionality and following this system. And this system, the Your No BS Story Builder, is built around the essence of storytelling and what the cognitive psychologists say that we do when we're talking to others. We begin to create stories in the way that I described. So if people are already creating their stories that way, why wouldn't we build our stories So it's that much easier for the story to make an impact and to be retained. At Massolutions, we often are the cobbler's son with no shoes. Each of our team members are so passionate about no BS marketing and helping our clients, our customers, that we actually don't tell our story as well as we should. But what we've learned to do is get better at that. And for each and every team member to challenge each other. And they challenge me a lot because they know that we aren't doing this as much as we should. So we've made an intentionality ourselves to practice what we preach and to do that. And that's why I want to tell you one of our client success stories to give you an example of how it follows through with the Your No BS Story Builder that I mentioned. The goal of this example is to help you understand how to tell a client success story. And also a secondary goal is for you to hear a success story of Massolutions, because not everyone understands the full scope of what we do. And that's on us as storytellers. The target audience, you, the listener, the consumer of the No BS marketing content, you, a prospective client or customer of Massolutions, or a current customer, and the Massolutions team, so they know that I care about them and I notice how hard they work. This particular client success story was a company that came to us when they were doing well, successful, and growing. But they had aspirations to grow 5x. And they had a plan to do it. They had a strong leader and a really good leadership team. They had dedicated, loyal employees who stayed a long time. They engaged us to help tell their story and to help make sure it was implemented and activated, because they had grown and their marketing team had sort of grown with it, but some of the people were now in different positions that maybe weren't best suited for their unique abilities. Some people were maybe added during a time of fast growth, and maybe it wasn't the right position or the right person. And their story wasn't being told to the fullest. So over a 2 or 3 year period, Massolutions team helped in a number of ways. We helped with their marketing operations. We took a look at their activities and accountabilities, and we have our activities and accountabilities agreement process where we work with people. So there's a discussion, and activities and accountabilities are agreed upon, and we map out how the marketing operations happen. When we did that, we were able to streamline roles and help increase productivity. We also looked at the story and how that was told with a word standpoint and a visual standpoint. We took a look at their website. We took a look at the way that they gained leads and referrals, and who their referral sources were, who their centers of influence were, people that talked positively about them. And we built a strategic marketing plan that we worked on with them, their internal team and the Massolutions team and other strategic partners all worked together to see this company grow. And because of that CEO and that leadership team, and because of their hardworking employees and team members, and because of the work that we did and other strategic partners did, they achieved their goal. So we see that they overcame a number of barriers and struggles and had to have the vulnerability to ask for help and then to act on it and to take creative ideas and implement them. We saw that they had a team concept, so there were a number of people that helped overcome those barriers and fight through those struggles. There were a lot of lessons learned about how to tell stories, about their customer experience, how they can use things like NPS, how they could have strategic marketing KPIs. And the end result was that they were able to achieve that 5x growth and be poised to sell their company. So that client success story is a huge success. And there's a lot of things I talked about, starting with storytelling, but also marketing operations, marketing activation of videos and blog posts and lead gen. But the thing that was really cool was when the Massolutions team was asked their opinion when they were trying to sell. And what happened was they began to go out and look for people to buy, and they felt that they could be sold for $100 million. They started engaging with someone who would be their liaison with private equity firms that could buy them. And they went and had a number of presentations. And they got offers ranging from 79 million to like 87, 88 million. They asked me, what do you think? And I said, well, you have a goal here of 100 million and you have the support behind it. You have the financial acumen. You have the team in place. You have all the things. I believe it's your story. And I believe that if I'm working on it with my Massolutions team and your team, that we can tell that story better. Your investor messaging, your investor storytelling. And they said, let's go. Let's do it. So I sat down with each of those leaders and interviewed them. I looked at the presentation they had been making and how that flowed and what the story that was being told. And we recrafted that investor messaging, that investor storytelling in a way that highlighted what really differentiated this company. It highlighted their big idea, their why or reason for being, and their customers' why or reason for buying. We used the Seinfeld storytelling approach because what they thought was nothing was actually something. There were 3 main storytelling pillars that they thought were nothing that were actually something. And the Seinfeld storytelling approach talks about how stories are about people. I incorporated specific points and stories that tied back their people and their people's success. Then we met with each of the leaders that would be presenting in front of potential buyers and coached them on ways to tell that story in the most positive, accurate, humble, vulnerable, realistic way. So the progress was made. The time came for their next round of talking to investors. They received an offer of $103 million. The CEO said to me afterwards, and he said to others that got back to me, that the only difference between the $87 or $88 million offer and $103 million offer was the story, the storytelling. And so that is a client success story of mine and of Massolutions and our team to show you how important it is that you too tell your client success stories. Because there's clients of yours out there that don't know the full scope of what you do, just like there are clients of mine and my teams. There are people out there that have put you in a box because they've read something on LinkedIn or your website or heard something about you. And that box might be accurate, but it's not the whole story. Just like for Massolutions, the whole story is not just no BS marketing, not just the no BS your story builder, not the no BS go-to-market storytelling system. There's so many different things, and this story that I told you makes that point. Most of the people listening to this probably had never heard of investor messaging, investor storytelling as a service. And it's not something that we promote and do that often, but it was a storytelling challenge that a client had. And we were up for that challenge, and Massolutions was able to change that story, and those investors bought it at the price beyond what they were hoping to land. I started off talking about how you have to be intentional about storytelling, and that's why I gave you this example. It's one of our customer success stories to make the point that you and everyone out there needs to tell their customer success stories with intentionality. But it's also about that client who was intentional about changing their story to potential investors. And it's about being vulnerable, and they were willing to ask for our help and then listen. And we were able to deliver as a team. So that's what this episode was about, was the importance of client or customer success stories and the importance of being intentional about your storytelling. Hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for listening to another episode of the No BS Marketing Show, recorded here in our studio in bold, beautiful downtown Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Remember, ask yourself, what's the big idea? And build your story around the answer. It's all about bold solutions, no BS.